living from ego is not going to be something that allows you to manifest the life you truly want. So we're going to talk about in this video how to live from your heart space instead, how to stop living from your ego, and how to actually live from your heart space instead, how to stop living from ego and live from the heart instead. And the more that you can learn to see the difference between what it means to live in your heart space and then live from the ego, and really see that distinction, your whole life is going to shift. Once you understand that difference, you can clearly see this is what it means to live in my heart space, and this is what it means to live in my ego. Your life is going to change so powerfully that you're going to feel so much gratitude in your heart, and you didn't even know that was possible to experience that much gratitude. You didn't even know it was possible to live a life that's so in alignment with a fearless energy, more opportunities coming your way, more abundance that comes into your life automatically, magic that allows you to be in alignment with your soul and what your heart wants to create. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. So the first thing you want to do when it comes to how to stop living from ego and live from the heart space instead, how to live in the heart instead, how to live from the heart instead, is to stop believing in your fears. Your fears are going to come up in your life sometimes, especially when you're leveling up to a whole new version of who you are. When you're leveling up to a whole new version of who you really are, fear might come up in the process. Fear might be something that arises when you're stepping up into that higher level. Fear might be something that comes up in your life when you're stepping up into who you really are. When you're stepping up into who you really are, who you are not starts to show up. When you're stepping up into who you really are, who you are not is going to start to rise up to the surface. And the question is, are you going to be fearless enough to not believe in that falseness, in the false identity, in the ego that's trying to suck you back into ego? So the solution is to stop believing in all your fears. When you have a fearful thought that tells you, I can't create this income, I can't create that $5,000 to $10,000 a month in my business, do you have to believe in that? When I was starting my business, when I was trying to hit certain numbers in my business that I ended up reaching, what happened was I had fears coming up. I had thoughts coming up saying, I don't know if I'm able to create this. I don't know if I'm able to do this. This is why having, for example, a mentor can be super powerful. Because what a mentor will do is they'll point you to the fact that your fears are completely ridiculous. Not from a judgmental point of view, but fears can be sticky. They'll try to suck you in for the roller coaster ride. They try to suck you in for the show. And the show is not real. You don't have to believe in it. The show was a false created narrative. That's all it is. It's a show. It's a play. None of it was real. But if you're attached to your fears, you're not going to be able to live from your heart space. So really the first step to living from your heart is, how attached are you to your fears? How attached are you to your thought processes? Because that spaciousness between who you really are, which is love and consciousness and light, that spaciousness between who you really are and the fears that we believe in, that is one of the most important aspects of living from your heart space. If you don't have spaciousness between who you really are and your fears, ultimately you're not truly connected to your heart. You're still living from the ego. And that's just the truth. That is the plain truth. I wish I could say it in a less bold way, but if you believe in your fears, you are living from your ego. That is the case. If you're living from fear, you're living in ego. If you're living in fearlessness, you're living from love, you're living from light, you're in alignment with your heart. So the first step, once again, is to stop believing in your fears. Now, the second thing you want to understand is life is going to keep happening. Life is always playing out. We're always making choices. Things are always happening. Life's moving forward. But the question is, how conscious are you of what's happening? Are you making choices consciously, or are you making choices unconsciously? Because you could be making choices unconsciously without having that spaciousness. I'll give you an example. What if you make your life career based on a fear that you're believing in that you might not even be conscious you're believing in? I'll give you an example in my life just to make this more clear. When I was dropping out of software development over 2 years ago at this point, time goes by fast, but hey, time doesn't exist ultimately. It does, but also it doesn't, and it's an illusion. So when I was dropping out of school, actually what I realized was the only reason I stay in school, the only reason I don't follow my passion, the only reason I don't do what I really wanted to do, to create the videos, to coach people one-on-one, to start my business, there's no chance I would have been able to get to where I'm at right now, to create the financial freedom that I've created for myself, the independence. There's no chance I would have been able to create that if I believed in my fears. Because actually, if I believed in the fears, I would be making a choice based on that fear, based on the fear. So the only way to align with your heart is to make conscious choices. Choices where you're consciously choosing, I want to go on this path. Not because you unconsciously have some story in your mind about how reality is, when reality isn't really that way and it's just a story. That's not how you live from your heart space. If you're living life for somebody else, if you're living a life that is not in alignment with your conscious choices, your values, what you want to create for yourself, if you're living life based on some autopilot story that somebody projected upon to you and you took as your own beliefs, that's living from ego. Lack of understanding of who you really are is living from ego. Living a life that's based on what your family wants for you is living from your ego. Living a life that's based on what society thinks you should be is living from ego. Knowing who you really are, making conscious choices that you want to make, not because your thoughts tell you you have to make it, but because your heart, some deeper wisdom within you, is telling you that you want to make it. And it might not come in the form of a thought, because your thoughts are just conditioned. They're based on conditioning. Who you are is something much deeper. It's something that transcends any thought, any conditioning, even any feeling. There's this deeper essence to who you are that if you can trust in will lead you down the path of your heart. That is your heart. You following your heart is you following your true path, your true soul path that's completely in alignment with who you really are. Not who you think you are, not some identity you've constructed that society created for you, but who you truly are at the core. The very core, the depth of your soul, the depth of your being. That is the solution. This is how you live from your heart space. And so the last step to this process that we're going to be, of course, I could record a 10-hour video on how to follow your heart, how to stop living from ego and live from your heart instead. But this is the final thing we're going to talk about in this video, is follow your excitement. Follow your excitement. Follow your bliss. Follow what makes you feel the highest levels of pleasure. And don't get it twisted. We're not talking about instant gratification and staying in your comfort zone. That's not what following your excitement means, at least the way that I'm explaining it in the context of this conversation and this video. What I'm really talking about when it comes to following your excitement is having an understanding that following your excitement will literally require of you to get out of your comfort zone. Following your excitement will literally require of you to jump into the unknown. Following your excitement will literally require of you to step into the abyss of I have no idea what's happening right now. Literally, your heart is not going to be in alignment with your thoughts a lot of the times. Your fears are usually thinking. And if your thinking is keeping you stuck, jumping into your heart space may go against your thinking in some ways. So following your excitement, following your passion, a lot of the times will challenge your comfort zone. It will challenge what feels comfortable to you. It will challenge what your ego feels safe in. Safety and security is not something you're going to have all the time when you're jumping into your true soul's path. In fact, my proposal and question to you is, how comfortable can you be with uncertainty in your life? With not knowing? Because when you're following your heart's path, you're not always going to know. You're going to have fear come up sometimes. You're going to be scared sometimes. You're going to have tests challenging you, seeing, is this soul really worthy of attracting his heart's desires? Are you going to lose yourself in the fear? Are you going to lose yourself in the things that make you scared? Or are you going to stay grounded in your being and stop believing in the fear? You see, fear is going to come up, and that's not the issue. It is part of the issue, but the deeper issue is the core of, why are you believing in the fear? Why does it have to affect you? Fear can affect you, but you have to be affected by the fact that you're affected. You have to be infected by the fear. Your fears don't have power over you. Your fears don't have to consume you. And most people are consumed by their fears. And understand that when you're following your excitement, yes, fear may come up. But understand that following your excitement sometimes is going into your discomfort zone. Obviously, it's your own pace. Don't go too radical and do something that's gonna, make your life horrible or anything. But you gotta understand, the truth is, if you really want to create your reality, you're going to have to face some sort of challenge and adversity and face your ego's fears. And by facing them, I'm not saying to be consumed by them. I'm saying that your fears don't have to suck you in for the show anymore. And when you follow your excitement, you're gonna have shadow coming up trying to suck you into the fear. And what you'll do as consciousness and love and light and embodying the truth of who you really are, you'll see that I don't have to allow these fears to consume me. I don't have to allow these things to suck me in anymore, because I am greater than these fears. I am abundant. Who I really am is abundance, is love, does not align with these fears any longer. So understand that when you follow your excitement, but you understand that facing your fears and not believing in them is part of the process, that is a huge aspect of knowing how to stop living from ego and live from your heart instead. Because the last thing I want to share with you is, remember that ego is the known. Ego is the comfort zone. Ego is, here's what I know, here's what's safe, and I'm only going to operate based on what I already know and what I've already experienced, and I'm just going to stay in this little comfort zone bubble. That's all the ego is. The ego is your comfort zone, literally speaking. Of course the ego wants safety and security. It's part of your survival. And I invite you to consider that yes, your survival is important. I'm not saying to do something that goes against your survival, but most people are living only to survive. Do you want to live only to survive, or do you want to live to thrive and become the greatest version of who you really are? So understand that your ego stays in the comfort zone bubble. Who you truly are does not stay in the comfort zone bubble. Who you really are absolutely does not stay in the comfort zone bubble. It expands into the discomfort zone and allows that discomfort to be there, and it surrenders and it grows as a result of that. And that discomfort zone will challenge you, but it'll allow you to be who you truly are. And of course, you'll be completely in alignment with your heart and no longer from ego, when you can fully embody what it is that I'm communicating here. So once you can do all these things, you're going to be more in alignment with your heart. And that is exactly, or at least some things you can do to stop living from ego and align from your heart instead. So that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. As always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.